was thinking over
I
some of the
imagine you're
things
not
you said.
here for the view. Hmm?
No, I'm not here for the view. I was thinking over some of the things that you said, and I also spoke to some other people. One of the things that's really stuck to my mind, and honestly, probably in a sense, is causing a bit of madness, and probably what drew me to come back out was you mentioned about a sacrifice, and people seem to believe that that's already happened with some people, but I'm assuming that's not correct.
The sacrifices come in many forms.
Hmm.
Some sacrifice their own gain. Others sacrifice their time. Some sacrifice emotions. And then there are those who sacrifice their lives.
Yeah. One of the doctors seemed to believe that the sacrifice was made with dark.
Have they checked on Richard lately?
I'm unsure. I personally didn't know he was ill till yesterday.
Kept alive by one's will.
Hmm.
Do your friends know you're here?
Majority no. There's one that does. But he made a promise never to come out here, especially after the decisions he made recently. I have many friends that are annoyed or angry at me for coming and having a conversation. I just told them to call me stupid or whatever they want to call me.
The fear of the unknown. In such, they resort to putting one down. It happened with a gentleman a while ago. I'm sure you may have heard of the case of Osvaldo.
Yes, I heard
He was
bits and
treated, given a
pieces.
whole new lease of life.
Hmm.
He could breathe. And then those around him, his friends, family, and the likes, tormented him, shunned him, put him down for feeling so alive, to the point they drove him to that hospital, which undid everything, put him into a state of suffering. Some
Hmm.
people just can't accept when others are happy, when others feel alive, and they or show such violent joy in feeling such. Humanity will always be its own downfall in the end.
It does seem like that.
There are officers trying to prevent individuals from treatment.
That is absurd.
To prevent the suffering to come to its end. Why would they do that?
Assuming there was probably some personal gain for the officer themselves within that, which is very sick and twisted, that they're willing to let people suffer for their own gain. I mean, just from the way I saw them when they would come in with people when they were sick, when people were sick, it was clear to tell that they didn't have those people's interests at heart, unless it was one of their own. I still remember the day Keegan came in with the officers, and then a bit later, Brandon came in. And a lot of it was just them yelling at Brandon, saying and trying to get stuff out of him that he didn't know, or badgering him because he was sick as well. He wasn't treated the same like the other officers and the marshal that was ill. It didn't feel right. They secluded him and didn't really let us near his room at some points. And with how people were progressing in the group that I was allowed to treat, I was afraid what would be happening to him for the fact they weren't letting us treat.
From your perspective, does any of it come as a surprise?
No. Seems that the officers had history with him and were treating him based off that history. Which honestly, in that moment, I wish they didn't, because he should have been treated like any other person that was sick, and should have been allowed to get the treatment he needed. I understand our treatment can't do much, but it's better than nothing.
The treatment that was sourced and supplied. There were some that were found, and I use that term loosely, retrieved from humane labs. That is a treatment. It is still a, as you may say, developmental treatment. The scientists and doctors there are doing a lot of work researching. It temporarily has provided beneficial results to those that have taken it. What I provided negated all of the symptoms. And not many get that.
Mm. Remember the day when Brandon was sick? Shang came through, said he had something to give him, but they wouldn't allow him to give it to him. I'm assuming it was one of those.
The events that occurred were rather nasty. A primal state, one could say.
Mm.
A form of bloodlust set in, and those that were witness may have received a slight, as you may put, dosage.
Okay.
Once the events that had transpired were resolved, when I was able to situate myself, I came to the realization of what occurred. As a form of apology, I gave them such
Understandable.
mercy. But there are those who keep digging and keep poking their nose into things that they really shouldn't.
Mm. Another thing I was considering is the madness that comes from all of this. My perspective on what I would call mad changed. Madness is just a poison within the brain. I see it as now. And it comes in two forms from this: the people that are sick and the ones that surround themselves with the sick. And somehow the madness mostly ends up the same.
Madness stems from frustrations of being unable to assist those they care about. In the pursuit of trying to find treatment, trying to form their own, they bash and bash their head against the wall, only to reveal the bloody marking left behind.
Mm. Earlier today I was also speaking with Barrett and I heard what he had done. Let's kick him.
Really stood his ground, which led to his current situation.
Mm. Mm. He
And
explained
in
what
doing
he
so,
would do. It was
mm,
interesting. An interesting choice by him, but he was never really one to believe in anything. He just sees you as as in his words, an ordinary old man.
it is to many of your kind's prerogative to believe or disbelieve, to find logic and turn to science more than faith and such.
Mm.
I do not see it as a sign of disrespect.
Understandable. There's another person I spoke to as well. She talked about maybe coming to meet you, but then decided against it because the anger she harbors at the moment due to how close she is with Craig. She said she would probably do something irrational, which
Hmm.
both knew it wouldn't be good.
Try as she may.
She said she'd want to try and kill you, and from my understanding, I don't believe that's possible.
The human emotions get the better of many of you.
Hmm. I got to lightly speak with very early today, and I know she's not happy with me for going to see you, especially after what happened to her. But she does also understand what she said that day was a bit of a quit. One of the other questions I had was also based on an answer I'd received from our conversation. You stated that many people were carriers and would never know. Is that because medicine would need to progress quite far to be able to figure it out, or it is, in a sense, unable to be found?
Your medical science is still in its infancy. The secrets that are contained within you are, well, at this current stage will be near impossible to find.
Hmm.
At the end of the day, if I want you sick, I will make you sick.
What everyone seems to be reiterating. That's one
And for as
message.
much as they reiterate, people still continue to try and find a resolution. I'm not talking about the medical staff. I'm more so talking about the officers.
Hmm.
One of these days, one or many of them will unfortunately find out the harsh reality. And then the medical staff will be very, very occupied.
I'm guessing with some of the officers they're bordering quite close to that.
I gave them an opportunity to make it out of this alive. It is completely on them if they decide to choose otherwise.
Hmm. For a little bit there, I'm gonna say I felt like I harbored some anger towards you, but in myself that was me feeling like I'd let Perry down. Because that day that you came and had a conversation with her, I was asleep just down the hall, and I didn't know any better, and I felt guilty for leaving her and that all happening.
I can assure you it's not something you should feel guilty over.
I try not
It was
to.
inevitable.
I guess the guilt stemmed from she's been my mentor and she was the one that's helped me through everything, and it felt like I'd let her down in this case. But after some thinking through and listening to what she said, in a sense, it seemed like with what she said, she kind of did it to herself. I thank you for your time, though. It's been interesting hearing your answers.
It is of no issue. I'm happy to provide certain answers. Understandably, there are many that I cannot.
Hmm. I came with a set of questions and didn't expect answers to some, because I knew at some points there would be some that wouldn't be told, but you would at least make that clear. You have a good day. Oh god.
Do stay safe.
I try my best within this city. It's very volatile at times.
Only humanity to blame for that.
Yeah. Humanity causes majority of its own problems.
Before you go,
Mm-hmm.
if there was one person that was sick that comes to mind, who would it be?
At the moment, Perry's still the one in my mind. Heard about a lot of the other cases, but I dealt with her the closest.
Interesting. She hasn't been sick in a while.
Mm.
Again, a pleasure. And do stay safe.
Thank you.
I'll be watching.